Hey guys, all right. So now we're going to be doing the assembly video on my pre-existing Hitman suppressed kit. It's the same as the suppressed and the non-suppressed. Of course, the only difference is that you're not attaching, of course, the suppressor to the non-suppressed version. I've had assembly diagrams for a while on this, and I went ahead and decided to do the assembly video while also showing the resin version. So this is the resin version printed in high impact resin. It's a very, very tough resin. Let's see here. This is a very quick, simple assembly. Let's get everything out here. We've got, of course, our grip surround and our two internal pieces of the grip. We've got our rear and our front part of the suppressor. Let's see. Trying to make sure I'm keeping everything in the view here for you guys. All right, this metal rod is going to be the rod that operates our trigger. And we've got our little faux hammer and our little safety and our slide catch and our orange tip, along with the front of the slide here. Let's see, I'm trying to see if you guys, yeah, you guys can see the writing and everything that's embossed on there. So this will be the front that goes on here. Let me get out the hardware here. And of course, this comes with like all the hardware. It comes with everything you need except for just the like paint and glue and stuff. Inside, we have a long Phillips head. This will be what's used to hold the suppressor to the slide itself. I chose it to do that way because a lot of you guys carry this like for Comic-Cons and different things like that. So I wanted to make the connection between the suppressor and the slide as robust as possible. I could make, you know, little like printed threads where you could thread it on and off, but have fun with it being broken in pretty much no time the first time you drop it or some crap like that. We've got 4 screws here that's going to be for holding the grip onto the frame. We have the trigger spring, and I'm going to go ahead and apologize right now for my dog that will be barking because of the escules outside. I can't say the word or she'll freak out and go run to the door. Yeah, she just looked at me. She knows what I'm talking about. Anyways, so whether it's the FDM filament or the impact version, regular thick super glue or super glue with like a spray activator works perfectly fine. And as far as the resin version goes, the resin, you can literally spray paint directly to it. There's no need for priming or sanding. I've tested, and I've had many customers contact me to give me some updates, you know, for them doing airbrushing, and nobody's had any issues with, you know, anything sticking or needing to prime first. Of course, the FDM, the filament version, you guys have worked with filament kits before, you know, you'll do like the filler primer with the light sanding, maybe another coat of filler primer with the light sanding to get a smooth surface, and then you start your base coats and all that stuff. But pretty much with the impact resin version, you can just go straight to airbrushing or spray painting, whichever you decide to do. What we'll go ahead and do here is I'm going to go ahead and put the hammer or the trigger and the spring together. This might be what's considered the toughest part. It's really not tough at all. Basically, you have a hole down here Let me turn around here. I still have a monitor behind me, but not in front of me. A hole right here for the spring to go in. And you have a hole right here for the spring to go in. Once we put this in, we'll drop the steel rod down through the front here, which will go all the way down through the trigger and spring. Basically, I'm just going to stick the trigger into there and maybe hold my tongue right. Some of you guys may have a different way to put this in, make it better. And actually, let me start by putting it into the body hole first, because that will probably be better. And then I'm going to kind of, well, let it pop right back out again. Get in the hole, please. And if you need to, you can twist counterclockwise to get the spring to go down in the hole and get it to lock in place. But you shouldn't need to do that. And I'm going to take this, and while holding it, I'm going to bend a kind of an S into it. So that now we've got the trigger setting in there and the spring where it's supposed to be. We're going to take this rod. I'm going to go in here and just move the trigger around just a bit until the rod slides in. And so now we have a fully spring-loaded trigger. And you guys can put some lubricant in here if you want to. It's really not necessary unless y'all paint down in here, which I wouldn't recommend painting down in here, because two painted surfaces, even if they're cured, they sit together for a while, they tend to stick. I do have these little packets of synthetic PTFE based like grease that is compatible with filament or with the resin versions. I got them all, I think they're like $1.50 or something on there, but there's enough lubricant in here to do the internal working parts of any of my kits, probably two or three kits, unless you just get really crazy with it. It's not necessary on most of them, but it's one of those things, longevity, you know, especially something that you can't get back into once you glue and assemble everything, you know, it's not necessarily a bad idea. So once that's in, we don't glue the rod. The rod is just kind of free floating in there. We don't need to glue the rod or anything. Our slide, we're going to glue it on just like that. But before we do that, just so we don't have to handle the whole thing, I'm going to go ahead and glue this front piece on. And it will just glue into the front of the slide just like that. But let me grab the glue. And I'm going to put just a little bead around it. It doesn't have to be much. And since I am using a CA glue with an activator, I'm just going to go ahead and spray activator on the other part. Push those together, let it sit for a second, and we're good to go. And now I'm going to go ahead and put our rear sight on, which the rear sight, if you notice, it's just got two little squares, and it's going to push down into those little grooves right there. So I'm just going to put the smallest little dab, which was probably too big of a dab. I'm probably going to squish it out. But we're just going to take this and we're going to pop it right down in there and let all that glue just squish right on out. See, it's hard to see what I'm doing and make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. So it's hard for me to see how much glue I actually put in there until it's too late. I just hit that with a little activator. So now that's good to go. Real quick, what we can do is, this is our frame tail, little tang part that hangs off here. There's a groove in one side and the other side's flat. The groove is going to go up, facing upward. So I'm going to take this, and I always try to put the glue in the receiving hole, because if you put the glue around any of the shafts and push it in, it's going to smear the glue more out and prone to squishing. If you put it down in the hole, when you push your part in, it's going to make the part squish the glue down in there where it should be and not on the outside of your part. So I'm going to spray that and kind of wiggle it. think I got enough glue in there, maybe. Grab a little rag here. I sprayed way too much activator. And the activator, 90% of all the activators that you get with like a CA glue package, they're all paint friendly. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and glue the slide on. And if you notice, it's just got two little rails that it just sets in. So we're going to glue it on and make sure we push it back so it's, you know, where it's supposed to be. And we want to make sure when we get here that we don't get any glue down in this rail and have it squished down into our trigger. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to put glue in that channel, glue in that channel, and glue back here. Maybe just a little swipe across the top. I'm going to spray some activator on there. A lot of you guys have bought the glue that I sell on my website, which is showing out of stock right now because I'm working with another company, not for any other reason than I wanted to find a company that didn't have an aerosol activator, because the aerosol activator keeps me from shipping the glue anywhere other than just in the continental US. So being with a pump activator that's not aerosolized, it can be shipped because it's safe to be like on airplanes and stuff, to be shipped overseas and stuff like that. So real quick, let's go ahead and get our hammer put in here. And the hammer goes on. It's just going to go, you know, so there's a little matching area for the hammer to go into. And since I can't really get down in there, I'm just going to go ahead and put the glue on here. And I'm going to hit the opening with just a little activator and hold my tongue right and set that down in there and give it just a second. All right, so it's activated now. All right, good to go. All right, so the next thing we're going to do real quick is we're going to go ahead and put the grips on. Now, these grips, you've got to slide these two pieces in like this. Now you can, you know, and I did these separate so you can paint them separate because this is a different color than these are and stuff. Now you don't have to glue these in here because basically once we put these together, we're going to slide these up and we got to kind of wiggle and push and pop. And what we're going to do is we need to look down in the holes down there and we see where the screws go. And we'll kind of have to just push our grips around until we get the screws lined up, or the holes lined up between here, here, and the body. Let me grab a little screwdriver here. And now we're going to, and there goes my dog barking at the squirrels. Hey, come here. Shop squirrels driving her crazy. Anyway, so we're going to take our screws, and our screws will cut threads. And actually a really cool thing that I found out when working with resin kits that is very cool. Now on this resin, it cuts threads just fine. But if it happens to be a screw that you're going to put in and take in and out of resin a lot or a few times, and you're cutting your own threads, which is what we're doing here, the first time you put these in, if you'll add just a little lubricant to the front of the threads and then thread them in, they will go ahead and cut perfect threads without digging any of the resin out. And it not only cuts threads, but it forms them, and it does really, really good. I had some test jigs that I had resin printed for some injection molding stuff that I was trying out, and I needed the holes to withstand many times of going in and out. And you take screws in and out a bunch out of resin. Each time you do, you pull just a little bit of resin out with it, But if you lubricate it the first time you cut those threads, every time you take them in and out, the threads stay perfect basically. All right, so if you notice, these aren't lined up, so I have to push that grip in there. Still not lined up. There we go. Got to hold my tongue just right, because all of this stuff flexes when we put it together. There we go. That should be good. And my most hated screw ever, flat blade screws, especially for model making and when you've painted something and your screwdriver slips off and you hit your brand new paint job and you put a gash in it, and it's like, you sorry thing. All right, and then we just thread these in, and I'm cutting threads as I go right now. All right. And the bottom holes are tougher to get screws in the top one, because the top only has to go through one grip piece instead of the grips around and then the grip. So it's just much easier. So let's get this in here. All right. So there we are so far. We have our spring-loaded trigger. Everything works great. We're going to come back here and we're going to put our safety on here. Now what we want to do is, it could go up here. We don't want to like put it up in this notch. This is where we want to put it. So I'm just going to take a little bit of stuff here, and be careful where you put it on this. Keep in mind of like where it's going to squish out at. So I'm just going to put a little bit right there, and there we go. And then we have our slide lock, which slide lock has this little notch on it that has to set above this. I mean, you can put it on there, but like it gets in the way. So you want to set it right there, because that's where it would like normally rest on a real one. And then you push up when your slide comes back and locks in. So I'm just going to take this and put me a little dab will do you. Not much, just kind of smear it across there just a bit. Now I'm going to hold up on the activator, because it's such a thin part. That activator will get back behind there just from spraying it. Go. Alrighty, so there, that's fully assembled. Now, the piece of advice on the suppressor: you can go ahead and glue the suppressor together and then put the screw in, but you will need a longer Phillips screwdriver. Even like this Phillips screwdriver is not long enough, just because this is on here. If the little hex for a wrench wasn't on here, this would slide all the way down and you could screw this in. But even before doing that, the first time you put this screw in, I suggest doing it this way, because there's a hole there. You want to put it together, and this way you make sure that you start this straight. And again, this is another one of these that if you lubricate this, it makes it way easier. And don't get me wrong, that even on the filament, the FDM filament version, this screws in literally this far, so you're cutting threads the whole way. But I did that so that the head of this is right here and here, so it's a super strong connection. But it's a long ways to screw this in. So see, we're actually going to screw that much into there. But I normally take this and hold this up against it, pulling back this way. And if you do that, it makes sure that part is straight, and it will help hold the screw straight. And now we just get to screwing. And again, once you do this the first time, and you glue your front of your suppressor on, you can take your suppressor back off if you want to. Just get you a screwdriver, stick it down through the front of the suppressor, and unscrew your suppressor. And again, the reason using this very beefy screw is to make sure that this joint is extremely strong for handling and carrying around. So I've been screwing that long, and I just got to the bottom of that. Because the thing is, we want to be able to, and then you can tighten the crap out of that if you want to. We just want to make sure that in handling and moving this around and showing people and dropping it and stuff, that this connection, like I said, I could 3D print threaded parts on there for it to screw on. Baby, come here. Lolo, come here. My dog, the squirrels set out on the back concrete pad behind the shop. There's a window back there, and they will sit there and eat nuts, acorns, looking at her, and it drives her insane. But anyways, so our suppressor goes on. It doesn't matter which way you put it on. So normally, like, you could put glue on here, but of course when you slide, it's going to push that glue, and you have a tendency to get it to here and it to squish out. But if you put glue, and like I can go all the way to this edge, put glue around there just like that, and as I go in, it's still going to squish around our edge, but it allows me to spin this, and I don't have to worry about the glue pushing this way and coming out because it got pushed inward. So I'm just going to hit a little activator that way and let it set for a minute. And I'm going to put my top back on my stuff. Move that over. And it takes a minute for this to, because it's having to get down in there and set that glue. All right. So again, and this is the orange tip for it. I'm not going to put the orange tip on because I'm going to pull this back apart now and paint it. But it is your responsibility by law. I don't know everybody's law in every country, but I know in the US and in like the UK and most places like that, you have to have this on there to identify that it's a replica and or whatever, non-firing. So we'll wipe this down. But so there's our suppressed version, the high impact version, extremely strong. The resin is much higher temp resistant than the like PLA Pro or the like ABS and stuff that gets used with filament. So this can sit in your car for way longer, you know, at a convention or something. You don't have to worry about it bending or warping and stuff. There is a temperature threshold. I haven't found it yet. I've purposely left kits setting out in the sun and have not had any warp or deform because of direct sunlight or anything like that, but I'm sure there is a temperature threshold. But so here we go. We've got all our little details and stuff on everything. So, but yeah, so I just again wanted to make a assembly video since I now have the resin version for you guys. But if you have any questions or comments, just put them down below or come over to the website and shoot me an email and all that good stuff. But I hope y'all enjoy it. Have a good one.